Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever Team Poland 40k English edition podcast.
Hello.
And to start us off, we have something very special for you. We have a summary for Polish Team Championship that just happened last weekend actually. And in a such coincidence, we are both captains of the team that led us to first and second place finishes. We will be summarizing the event, talking about our army choices and such. And we hope you will enjoy hearing about our success, our stories about our teams, team compositions and strategies, and general summary that we want to give you about of the whole event. To start us off, by the way, I think introductions are always in order. So I'm Pumba.
And I'm Arek.
And we'll be guiding you through this podcast episode. First, to start us off, how did you actually make up the team? Like, who was in it and who are the players?
Okay, so for my team, I have like core of the 3 players that are always going with me. It's Skark. Some of you might know him. He was
quite a famous player.
Yeah, he was attending all of the ETC and WTC in previous years, and and Skark was playing Tau. And the second one is actually Zozo, who is a flexible player, but mostly focused on the stable armies. So he was playing Sisters. And it was me. I was playing Chaos Demons with New Codex. And we have one guest from Austria, Stefan Pazdarka. And Stefan was playing Harlequins.
Yep. My team is a team that I've gathered like from only Krakow community, which I am very proud of, by the way. These are the guys that took second place finish in the last Polish Team Championship last year, and that we also took to Prague to win that event there. And so basically, I'm very proud to be able to just gather my local players, which I think are amazing guys, and to have them play their own armies and to focus to have the actual shot of winning the event, which we succeeded in doing so, actually. So,
the first thing is, how did you prepare? The first thing is, Pumba, how did you prepare your team for the event?
How did I prepare my team? Yep. So I took the job of being a team captain this year, which I usually do, and especially when we gather our team together. And I knew what I have. Like the armies my players have on them and are comfortable playing with. So I didn't have like a huge flex spot of the armies. So to start us off, we had Druzik playing Tau. We had Senal playing Imperial Knights. Fortunately for me, I had a good Necron player on me because I don't believe it's possible to make an actual team without Necrons. Although you did so and succeeded, yes. But that would be very tough for us, I believe. And I was like pretty much we had Harlequins as well in form of Cranmer, and I was like the only flex spot that we had.
Yes. And what did you take? Because that's for the Polish meta. It's let's say not unusual. It's an unusual choice.
It is an unusual choice, and I think I was counting on cutting most of the players there and teams there off guard because I took Salamanders. A very unorthodox pick, I think, and let's be honest here, I was very inspired by Oliver Weiss, who I, by the way, talked with before the event about the army, how it plays, and what is its purpose like in team pairings, because it was very similar to the list he took to WTC and did very well with. And from talking with him about the army and from seeing his results both in singles and in teams, I do believe that the army has real play, and it's proven very nicely in the pairing process for me. So basically, the preparation for us, except from like the usual stuff, which is TTS, sparings, stuff like this, was as a team captain, I knew I had as I've said, limited options of which armies I could bring. What I could influence and what would help me eventually in the pairing process was tweaking the list of each build to fit the pairings more. what I did, it was actually doing like a huge mock-up spreadsheet in which I have denoted all of the possible matchups and armies that could be in the top teams. So things like Sisters, things like Necrons, of course, Knights, all of the armies basically that I was expecting to be at the event in many forms or like in most good teams. And I did, each player had basically an obligation to give me an army that could play into very specific builds. So for example, I would just fill up the estimation spreadsheet myself. So for example, we had Sisters, like so I want to.
Wasn't it all yellow pairings for the Sisters?
For the Sisters, some of the time, but not always. Like, say, I think the best example of this is Tau.
Yeah.
I think many team comps would struggle against Tau, especially in 5v5 situation.
Yep. Especially if Tau is the first defender or second defender, if they can
Exactly.
if they can choose the table.
So we had Harleys, so that's an easy pairing, and the answer to the defender Tau.
Yep.
But what else? I have Knights, I have Necrons. It's difficult.
Knights are terrible because
Exactly.
it's actually not a DPS check.
Isn't it? I thought it was. I heard you could do that.
I proven wrong those Knight players 3 times at WTC.
That doesn't work so well.
But to take it from you, that's why we took demons.
Yep. That's a very valid choice, which you did. I didn't really feel comfortable taking the demons myself.
Okay.
I didn't have the models and I wasn't very prepared to. Like, I knew I didn't have enough time to dive into the completely new army myself. What I instead did is told our Tau player, Durzik, to just side for the matchup. I think his list was very optimal into the typical 3 hammerheads, 2 bombers list.
Yeah,
also,
true.
he had played the army for months now. And he's very comfortable. He's played many mirrors against, including against you. I remember.
Yes, against me and against Skark.
So basically,
previously at Hegemon
exactly.
Isles.
He has played Tau mirrors in Prague as well. So I knew he was comfortable in the matchup. He knew the army extremely well, and I could count on him to be the attacker that I need for Tau. Right.
Okay. Just to mention, what was the Tau list, basically, and what was the difference between the classic Tau Sep build with 3 hammerheads, 2 bombers, and 1 crisis bomb?
So our build was actually not Tau Sept, as most of. By the way, guys, you can see all the lists. We'll link them down below. They are on Turn Keeper. You can see them all and read through them yourself. The typical Tau list, for everybody that doesn't know, would be 3 hammerheads in Tau Sept with
long strike.
With long strike, obviously as one of them. You had Shadow Sun. And you had 2 bombers.
And 1 crisis commander, 1 cold star commander.
And a big blob of crisis seed.
5 crisis with 8 or 10 drones, depending on the
This
build.
is basically the build that Skark took to WTC, as well as you did. And that was the build that dominated the Polish meta at the time. So we basically knew very well what we need to side against. And Durzik decided to go with Farsad Enclaves with actually no hammerheads at all. Instead, he took 2 bombers as well. 2 cold star commanders, which I think is a very nice tech against some armies, as well as 2 crisis blobs, all kitted out to the max, basically. The build has proven to work extremely well. Like, I feel like he didn't actually give up anything into this important matchup. Like, he still smashed Knights 2 goddamn times, so why would you need hammerheads for that? And at the same time, he had very a huge mobility advantage over the hammerheads, as well as survivability advantage. Because if you shoot a hammerhead into a crisis suit squad, you are expecting to kill 2 drones, basically 3 drones max, right? Including all the small shots. While this hammerhead is in the open, or he is able to shoot, he is also able. The retaliation from the other Tau army is obviously going to happen, and then it's just dead.
Yeah.
So that was a very nice.
No survivability on the hammerhead.
Exactly.
Against another Tau.
Yeah, especially, right?
Unless you're playing against another 3 hammerheads armies and you just soak the railguns on the drones.
On the drones. Exactly, right? So in a typical Tau Sept on Tau Sept Hammerhead mirror, you have some flex and you have a possibility to soak up the single shots into the drums and such. You don't have that possibility while playing against two extremely mobile, like each of them could move 18 inches.
Because you have two cold stars.
Mm-hmm. So back to the topic, this is basically what we did with each of our armies. I had a specific plan for each of our builds to be an attacker for very specific things. And this was also the first time, I think we can also transition to that I had a set defender for my team composition. It is something
just to interrupt you, like you had one defender for all of the matchups?
Exactly.
And what was it?
That was my Salis. That was my Salamanders, and they just were going down as the first defender every single game. I knew with the choice of the tables and with the missions that Salamanders get and with their defensive profiles, I could guarantee to not lose any single matchup badly.
Yeah, so you basically took the role of the standard sisters.
Basically, yes. Or like you could see sisters in this role yep. I think Poznan did it, who took third place in the event.
Yep.
My son's team.
I did it.
Exactly.
With Zozo's sisters.
Exactly. And I did it with Salis instead. So instead of switching to sisters, for example, I instead opted to play Salis, which are Space Marine chapter, which I am very much more comfortable with.
Okay. And are there any advantages beside you feeling more comfortable with Salamanders over the sisters?
I actually think so. The thing is, I think the biggest strength of Salamanders in the whole tournament was the fact that people were not prepared for them.
Okay.
Whereas you could side against sisters.
Yes, basically. So there was an element of a surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah, but on the gameplay perspective?
On the gameplay perspective, they have a lot of tricks that sisters do not have access to. What I'm talking about is some of the stratagems Salamanders have present on them, which completely punish any mistake that the opposing player might do. What I'm talking about, like very specifically going into detail, is Born Heroes, which is a stratagem for 2 CPs, which allows you to, if one of your units is being charged, then another one of your units that is within 12 inches, so that's a huge bubble of it.
Yep.
When you are getting charged, you can overwatch of another unit and then perform a 2d6 heroic intervention. What this allows you to do, like everybody focuses on the overwatch part because you have like a huge aggressor blob stood next to it. Overwatch part is completely irrelevant, right? What you are counting on is just completely changing the geometry of the game and the trajectory of the game in your opponent's turn.
Yeah, that's like the old Custodes countercharge.
Yes, but even better, because what you need to realize is that the heroic intervention rules don't necessarily require you to end that heroic intervention within engagement range, just closer to.
Yeah.
Which basically means whenever one of your units, especially those forward deployed incursors that I run, are being charged by anyone, one of your other units behind them is getting a 2d6 free move. So, and that is in your opponent's face. This stratagem itself means that if your opponent doesn't plan for it, like even knowing, because I'm not talking at all about like gotchas and stuff like this,
obviously,
but your opponent needs to be very prepared for the possibility of you moving like 7, 9, 8 inches.
Yeah, you need to count it for the purpose of controlling an objective, for example.
Controlling an objective, the eradicator range, the shooting range, the threat range from Van Vets, which I ran 30 of. It all basically means that any mistake that the opposing player may do is greatly punished with this army. And I think it's his biggest strength over the sisters. Just changing the trajectory of the game completely.
Okay, and is there anything that would you like to change in your list after the event?
Generally, I don't think so. I did some changes previously, and like taking the Oliver's list from WTC, I made some tweaks like throwing away the librarian and adding my chapter master, which increases the reliability of my Vanguard veterans significantly. Other than that, I don't think so. I don't think there's just enough space to maneuver within such like underpowered fractions that Space Marines are at the moment, because we need to admit that they are still like, no matter my results and Oliver's results, to all his credit, I still think Space Marines in a pretty bad spot, especially because of points costs. And just because of that, I would like to add some stuff into the list, definitely, but I just don't see how I could maneuver around stuff to just fit more like other things, like nice to have in.
Okay.
That was my main issue, yeah. Generally, that was how we built our team comp. So I had repeating myself, I had a set armies for 4 of my players. I have chosen myself to be the defender, to be the reliable first put up, so we have something to tank the most annoying enemies list with, and we tweak our specific army builds to fit the meta and to be a reliable attacker against most meta armies. How did you actually approach that?
Well, I haven't done the predefined pairing tables for my colleagues, and basically we approach it a way less seriously. Let's say.
Well, I can imagine that. Knowing you, knowing Skark, and knowing Zozo from many events, yes. I can imagine your way being significantly different than that.
Yes. So we have like maybe 2 players that were in flexible spot. That was me, because I generally play Tau, but when Skark wants to play Tau, I'll just give it to him.
Yep, that makes sense.
And then we get Kruker, which is playing only Tyranids, basically. Yep. So no space there. Fortunately, Tyranids list fits in most meta, so that wasn't a hard choice for us. And we got me for as a demon player, which was on flexible spot, and then I have to decide who will play Harlequins and who will play Sisters, because both Zozo and Stefan plays both armies.
All right. Interesting. I had no idea Stefan played Sisters at all.
Yes, he played Sisters at the WTC, I think.
Whoa. I did not check that beforehand. Yes. I should have done so.
Yes,
as my team
with a quite good result. So,
okay.
But we decided a little bit more friendlier approach. So Stefan wanted to take Harlequins, so I gave it to him. He was also prepared with his army as his first or second choice of army, so I wasn't afraid about his results. And Zozo also historically played Sisters a lot, so, and I needed a stable defender, so Zozo became one. The thing is that I was wondering about what I would bring to the DMP, to the championship, because we already have 2 stable attackers against Tau list, because we had Carly's, that is an obvious pick, and actually Kruker's list, which is Jormungand Tyranids, is, as it seems, a quite good attacker against Tau.
That's actually interesting. I think that list was the most unusual Tyranid build I have ever seen. I knew he played it at our local tournaments actually many times, like at least I think 3 games into Tau. And he smashed every single one of these.
Yes, but to be honest, the level of the players wasn't matching the level of the players that he will meet at the team championship, I think.
Yes, but at the same time, I think even pulling any results actually with Tyranids against a good Tau build is at least something to keep an eye out of.
Yes, that's why I kept Kruker as our second attacker, because if you put Harleys and something, the
Tau player is just gonna pick the other attacker.
The same Tau player will just pick something else.
Anything that Harleys, yes.
And Kruker proved 2 times at the event that his list is pretty good against Tyrannies because he scored like 18 and against Tau. Sorry,
Obviously,
his Tyrannies are good against Tau. He scored 18 and 90 points.
Holy jeez.
So
I had no idea actually that he played against Tau.
yeah, 2 times. So he played against Evert.
Well, that's one of the great things I think about that specific list. It is exactly flipping the matchup, right?
Yes.
It is exactly like everybody knows that Tau is good against Tyranids, so you basically flip the matchup, and suddenly it isn't.
Yes, because
and nobody is prepared for that.
And if the Tau player isn't aware how to play against it, and how to pick a table, because you can pick a good table without dense cover, and then
that list doesn't really work.
Doesn't really work
because that build. Do you remember what was in it? I think that was Jormungandr.
Yes. Whatever it should be pronounced, right?
The Jormungandr. The Jormungandr.
Yes, with adaptive camouflage adaptation. So, and he get like 3 Carnifexes with cover.
Only 3?
Yes, only in this race, only 3.
Interesting.
Previously he got 6, but we decided. But 6 Carnifexes is a huge skew against Tau.
Yes.
On Hammerheads.
Massive, yes.
And freeing up those 450 points to get something else opens up a lot different matchups.
Which is actually interesting. Saying 6 Carnifexes is a huge skew against Tau on Hammerheads. Just thinking about that stuff doesn't make sense, right?
Yes, unless they are -1 to hit. They are always in cover. They are -1 damage. And additional armor save if you are shooting through dense.
But I still cannot comprehend, because they will have -1 always. Let's assume so at least. That's how
or
you pair them.
Or -2.
Or -2 actually, yes.
Because you need to have dense.
Yeah. But still, the situation might occur where if the Hammerhead actually hits, it is only on 2+. We're rerolling most of the time, right?
Yes.
It would be rerolling.
Always rerolling.
Exactly. So you have a 6-up save.
Yes. The thing is...
How does this work?
The thing is, you don't need to play your Carnifexes from the table. You can just deep strike them. And it's not strategic reserve, it just...
It's the Jormungandr stratagem,
Yes,
right?
it's a Jormungandr stratagem, so you can put 1 unit of Carnifexes into the deep strike.
So all 3 of them?
All 3 of them. Or if you are playing 3 CPs, you can put 6.
Nice. Holy shit. All right.
And in this iteration of the list, Kruker also got the Tyrannus side, so the big egg thingy, I don't know.
The drop pod.
Yeah, the Tyrannid drop pod. And 6 Pyrovores.
Yep.
And I think 3 or 6 Zoanthropes. So...
Did he run the Harpy?
Yes, he did.
All right.
So...
I see the direction where it is
so
going.
depend of the matchup. You can put Harpy in the drop pod, or
6.
you can use it as a first turn alpha strike to just put 6 Pyrovores or 3 Zoanthropes and 3 Pyrovores straight in your opponent's face.
I think it is very similar to some of the British players were running. I think Robo was running something similar, even in WTC. I think in his Kraken list, I think he was running.
The thing is that was Kraken, not the Jormungandr.
Yep. So this is basically a tech which Kruker I think thought of himself actually. I remember him asking me if that's actually legal to put the Harpy into the drop pod. I mean, it turns out it is.
Yes.
So it was a good idea. So. It is very interesting to me.
Yeah, because otherwise against Tau the Harpy is useless because
exactly. But suddenly
it dies
no problem.
The first turn. Yeah.
You can put you will start. I think the direction where the build is going. Then you're starting with the Harpy in the drop pod, and with all of your fexes in deep strike.
So 3, and you can put also 1 unit of Pyrovores in deep strike.
Holy shit! All right, that's such a nice tech. I really love that list.
And to be honest, against the classic Tau list, you don't have a lot of screen.
Yep.
There's only 8 to 12 dogs and 10 crutes. and beside that, there's really nothing.
So basically, you can use your first turns to chew through the screen.
Yes, because you get like 20 Hormagaunts.
Yep.
You get 2 units of Hormagaunts. One can go 16 inches and charge for 1 CP, and the second one can get outslot.
Yep.
So you get
So basically, you have ways to clear the screen wholly within the first turn.
Yes.
Realistically.
And realistically. And if the top player plays aggressively and pre-game move the dogs, pre-game move the Croods, and even if he gets first turn, then he's just closer to you.
Yeah.
So you can just clear all the screens, unless somebody think it through and just detach some drones in the first turn, and then detach another drones in his second turn. So
basically, it is not a solved matchup still.
Yes,
but it is something that clearly caught people off guard.
Yes, it
caught
a lot. 2 top players off guard,
Yep.
and they just scored 1 or 2 points.
Nice job.
So
interesting.
That was our second top defender, second defender. So
to address the elephant in the room.
Yep.
No Necrons.
No Necrons.
How the fuck do you go into this tournament with no Necrons in the current meta into so many good matchups for them, into being so stable and with those secondaries?
Yes, because I thought that it will be me who will be playing Necrons.
And you would just bore the shit out of me.
Yes.
That was the answer I was expecting, to be honest.
Yes.
So there wasn't like a super plan of we don't need Necrons and we'll still do well.
No, but I was testing the Demons Codex since the release.
Yeah.
And we just spin the wheel with all possible nonsense, stupid and most boring or
basically
not working list.
The Demon Codex is something of a meme in the Polish community right now, because every single day something new comes up and something new is thrown into the builds, then completely debunked the next day and deemed completely unplayable, and so the cycle repeats every single day.
Yes, and so currently it's 8 p.m. and Bellacore is shit.
It is?
Yes.
You run that day, right?
But tomorrow he will be back to the roster. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I was seriously considering taking Necrons just to be just for the optimal team comp. But after playing few or dozen games with the Demon Codex, I actually liked how demon pairings are looking into the top of the meta.
Okay.
Which is Tau.
Yep. They are good against Tau, that's easy.
Yes.
Yep.
Which
what
is
else?
Harlequins.
They are quite good into Harlequins,
yes.
right?
And against Necrons.
Are they really good against Necrons? That surprises me.
Like
the previous ones, sure. But the Necron matchup?
That depends how does the Necron list look like. Because the more dedicated melee units you got, it's the worse for demons.
Yep.
But a lot of players took the variation of the Liam Hackett's list from WTC or our own Gytos list from WTC. So that was basically 2 archetypes of the Necrons list.
Which one do you think is worst for the demons?
Worst?
Yeah. Which one do you think plays better into demons? Because theoretically looking at the lists and pairings and being having a mental image of what the demon list looks like, I would say Liam Hackett's list would actually be good against demons, right? You have 27 Carabs that chew through demon bodies. Those guys wreck stuff. They kill knights regularly. The auto wounding, the low demon save, the amount of attacks these guys pull through, it is massive actually. Isn't it?
It is. But but the thing is, also when you have 20 or 25 mortal wounds a turn from one model, they cannot use the reanimation protocols
against that. Yes,
against that, and if you choose a good table, So you can play all your flamers to be not chargeable behind the wall.
Yeah, sure.
Then it's really hard for the Necron player to chew through those Zinj guys only with shooting, and you have no toolkit to kill the big demons because you are wounding them on 6s.
Sure.
Everything is strength 6 or less. You can kit at 1 unit of race to be strength 7, so they will wound on 5s.
Even then, thinking about it just from my perspective, you don't hear a lot of change. That's not gonna happen, right? But the Liam Hackett's list, the archetype evolves around 3 Scarab Blobs and then 3 units of Wraiths. So you have a lot of speed, a lot of mobility, quite a decent survivability, and like a medium to okay damage output.
Yep.
Especially against demons, which are quite fragile, let's be honest.
Yes.
Unless you're the big guys, right? But then you have stuff like Silent King himself, and then you have stuff like the big Locust Destroyer blob that has rerolling everything to hit and wound.
So they wound the big guys on 6s.
On 5s, right?
On 6s. They are strength 6 minus 3d3 damage. So if you are shooting at Be'lakor, you are hitting on 4s.
Yep.
No rerolls.
Yep.
No
rerolls.
Wounding
right?
on 6s
Okay.
with a full reroll.
Yeah.
And then it's d3 minus 1 damage.
Yeah, they don't kill Be'lakor.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And they don't. And
that's
they
a terrible profile for Be'lakor.
and they don't kill Lord of Change because of 3-up invul and ignoring first damage.
Because you didn't run the Thirster, right?
No, I didn't run the Thirster.
Yeah.
I ran the Thirster. I ran few tests with the Thirster, but it came out that it doesn't really work.
I can see that. That was one of the things I think shocked me the most in the Demon Codex, because that Thirster looked amazing on paper.
Yes,
but then in practice it is like a knight, right? It's kind of a knight melee. The problem is you encounter...
It's better than a knight, but...
Sure, but you still encounter a transhuman, -1 to hit, or any other variation of that, and the guy just cries.
You can negate the minuses to be hit with the relic, which you probably take. The Angrat, the King of Blades, ignoring...
The King of Blades? You are not taking the healing relic, for example?
I played with the healing relic for a while, and... which leaves me the decision. Do I charge my Thirster to heal him up to the next for the next bracket, just to kill some chaff for 80 points? Or just go and kill one big model that I really care about, and then on a 5-up I'll regain 1 wound.
I see.
So that's...
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why I thought that I wouldn't play the Thirster with this relic and switch to King of Blades because of the minuses to be hit and minuses to be wound.
But it still just cries when he's transhuman, right?
Yeah, and then I played the Thirster with the whip.
Oh.
Because the Thirster's ballistic seal doesn't degrade. So he's a
sniper man.
Yeah,
he's just a sniper.
He's always hitting on 2s, and
does his weapon skill go down?
Yeah, up to 4 up. So and there's no way you can just bring him up to beside the nonsense relic that you can bring him up to operate on the full table.
Okay.
So
but still, I'm really interested now in the Demon against Necrons matchup. I would need to see that actually on the table.
I played against Necrons, against Niltak Necrons. It wasn't strictly Hackett's build.
Yep.
And I started the game, which is hugely in my favor, like I think 10 points more.
Yep.
And I ended it 14-6 for me.
Okay.
So I wasn't expecting to get like 20s against Necrons, obviously. But I was thinking about the drawish pairing, which is against Necrons, is actually a winning draw. Let's call it like that, because against any other army beside Tau, I think, the Necrons are scoring 15 or more.
All right. So I would assume your second answer to any Necrons that you encounter would be Tau?
Tau or Sisters.
Sisters, really? I disagree. This time I just disagree.
If I don't have anything better for the Sisters,
yeah, sure.
I will just throw the Sister to be devoured and bring 5 points.
Yeah, I guess so. In this case, I agree, but that's definitely not a good pairing for them.
No, it's not a good pairing, but it's if it's
but they are sisters.
If it's a good pairing for the team,
yeah,
then
sure. But they are sisters, so they will bring their points.
Yes, they will bring some points, and if that pairing opens up some other better matchups, then I'm fine with that. And Zozo was fine with that. He actually played against Necrons once and bring 9 points. So
yeah, that's reasonable.
That's a reasonable result.
So, what was your hardest matchup? And in that matchup, that specific matchup, what was your hardest pairing or something that caught you off guard and made you be on the edge of not actually winning?
Okay.
Because what's your actual score? Did you lose any games?
As a team or me personally?
As a team, yeah.
No, we didn't lose any game. We got 4 wins on 1 row.
Yep.
But to answer your question, I think that our last game against the team from Zapsha was...
That was interesting.
Yes, because, I accidentally put Crooker against the Custodes list.
Accidentally?
Yeah, because I was a choice after who will be our second defender.
Yep.
And looking at the table, so I said, okay, the Crooker have 2 yellows and 1 green. Scar got 2 greens.
Yeah.
And 1 0 matchup because it was
holidays.
Yeah. So I thought I will prefer to that Scar will score some points and give him the matchup he wanted.
Yeah.
And just counting for some luck that our opponent doesn't really know that the Custodes list is direct counter for Crookers, but hell, they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
That was a rough thing. I was actually watching some of the tables of yours from after finishing my game. That was the last round of the event, right? And basically, we haven't actually played against each other.
Yep.
Our teams haven't played against each other. So we were playing the team from Poznan at the de facto final of the event, and you were playing the Zabrze team, which we were heavily favored against.
Yep.
Let's be honest.
Yep.
So we were expecting you to score maximum points from that, and we were constantly calculating the matchup, what score do we need to actually have a first place and stuff like this. And when we saw that Crooker just got completely wiped off the floor, we were like, holy shit, something's going wrong there.
As I heard from Crookers after his game, he just rolled poorly.
And he was playing against Custodes. So
yes,
as long as the opponent rolled 4s,
there's nothing you can do.
I think that also kind of showcases Crooker's the problem with his list a little bit, I guess, which is that he's lacking the mortal wound output.
Yep. He basically had only 2 units of Zoanthropes.
Exactly, and no Obliterax Tyrant as well.
No
right?
Obliterax, only the Walkrand with the Shard Gullet.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is garbage. I need to mention that. Don't take that relic. It is absolute garbage. It has never done anything for me and for anyone. And everybody that says otherwise that Shard Gullet has killed an enemy model for them is just lying. It is impossible. It is 3 shots, and they will never hit with it. That's my personal opinion, and I stand by that statement.
actually we tested that before WTC multiple times.
Yep. Although Kruker remains unconvinced by my words, constantly bringing that and killing hammerheads with it.
Last game he did like 12 damage to my Bella core in one shot. So yeah, don't mention.
He is lying though. I don't believe that happened.
Okay.
Back to the topic, right?
But back to the Krukers against Custodes. I think he lost 2 Carnifexes in his first turn and didn't kill anything.
In return. Nice.
Yeah. So he got just wiped out.
Like by the third turn, I think the game was over, right? I've seen a lot of Custody Blanks and like the Telemon just walking through his deployment zone.
Yes, there was nothing left. He was tabled terribly, and basically this game costs us not the first place because even if he scored the required 3 points more to get us the maximum win, you'll be 2 points higher. I think because the difference was 5.
Yeah.
And so that was my hardest mistake, I think, in the whole tournament.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we got pairings in our favor or in looking drawish.
Yeah.
But drawish in our favor, so we get like 55, 60 points, 60 points score. And that's basically what you can expect from the team tournament when the 65 points is a cap. It's a maximum. It's a maximum that you can score. So 60 is basically good enough.
Yep.
So that was the hardest mistake. That was actually, it's good that it doesn't cost us the first place, because if it does, I would just I wouldn't be sitting with you here.
All right.
And yours?
Yeah.
Anything that goes wrong?
I think the obvious answer here is the last matchup. We were playing against Team Poznań. Team Wujaszki in Tournikeeper, if you want to check them out, they took the 3rd place. Team Uncles. And Team Uncles had definitely the strongest team at the event. I think we can agree on that. Like on paper, they had an amazing squad. They had a squad with 3 of the national team representatives. They had Vladi, which was selected for the team but then couldn't go, so almost 4 team representatives. And Everett, who is a constant player at the national level tournaments as well. He's definitely not on the super not on Vladi's level, but he's a very competitive player at this point.
He's a good player.
Exactly. So their squad and their lists were just, I think, the most optimized at the event.
Yep.
They had all of the best armies, all of the best picks, and very nice builds.
And players that are actually comfortable with those armies.
Exactly.
Because anyone, I think, beside Everett, who took Tau, and his normal army is Necrons, I think.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, most of the time it's Necrons. All the rest of the guys are playing their armies. Their armies,
the things that they took for WTC and they were playing for the last season at least.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was definitely our hardest matchup. And what I realized when doing a mock-up pairings against them the day before that is that by having both Tau and Imperial Knights in the list, and knowing that Amison, the team captain of their team, is a very good at the pairings process, and knowing what his estimations against us will be, I just couldn't dodge 2 things at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is avoiding their Tau into our Imperial Knights matchup, which is a straight up 0 every single time, unless just God blesses the Imperial Knights hand and just a Tau play gets a stroke in the middle of the game.
Yes.
Or our Tau getting Harlequin, which is also a fat 0. Expected score is a 0.
Yes.
Straight up. So by doing those mock-up pairings, I realized I cannot dodge both of these things while securing safe, good pairings elsewhere. and because of that, I had to make a very hard choices along the way to avoid these two specific matchups. So that was possible, and I did manage to do that. But in this process, I had to like put our knights against the Vladis Tyranids, which
isn't the best.
Isn't the best, definitely, and could go very wrong. But that was definitely better than going into Tau.
Yeah.
Or me taking Harlequin straight up into my Salamanders, which was also like a tough matchup, but especially on the mission 11, which is very drawish, I could pull results there. Basically, I needed to make hard choices and take a lot of questionable pairings to avoid those huge bad ones, right?
Okay, but the thing is, wasn't better just to sacrifice one bad pairing to open up pairings for the rest of the team?
The thing is, that would be I am of the philosophy. There are many philosophies you can use while doing your pairing process, for example, in the team environment. And I'm of the opinion in like 8v8 team pairings, I think you sometimes can afford to do that. Yep. Whilst in the 5v5, I think it's very questionable to do so. Like scoring a fat 0 on any table just makes it so much harder for your team to actually carry through.
And because you need like 20% more points from each table.
Exactly. Or you need to equalize that by scoring a fat 20 elsewhere, which I also knew Meissen would let me do that. We wouldn't get like our Harleys against their Tau matchup. We didn't have such a strong Lichpin against it to have them caught on that. So instead, I decided to go more drawish way, and it actually worked out. I played against the Harleys. I scored a 10. Our knights drew as well.
Okay, just back to the Harleys versus Salamanders matchup. Draw is an expected one, or
I think I would say Salis lose that one.
No, that's
most of the time, but not on this mission.
Okay.
Because the mission 11 is very drawish, it is very defensible, and I was choosing the first table of the game. I had a position to make it a draw, basically. I didn't go on the offense at all, and all I did was sit backwards and just chill out.
Banners, your turn.
Banners, Salamanders, secondary, whatever. Do your thing, man. Yeah. And because of that, like, Harleys would need to go absolute ham into that list.
Yeah.
Just absolute ham.
And
which is very dangerous against Sally's build, like extremely dangerous, because of the reasons we've discussed with all the stratagems, with all the options that Sally's have. No reroll to wound, transhuman, and are you counting how many meltas do you need to actually kill that squad, right?
Yeah,
you're hitting on a 3-up, I guess, maybe 4-up if I have cover. You're wounding on a 4-up, no rerolls ever, including your like dice. Are you trusting yourself to go all the way?
Actually, it's like the same situation that we get in our last game when Stefan was playing against Stefan Harleys was playing against Orc list.
Interesting.
And it's like almost the same situation because the Orc list was built just to
score points, right?
Just to score points. And on this mission, on the mission 11, they are doing it very good. So
yeah, they have excellent secondaries actually.
Yeah. And basically when we knew that Kruker will bring 0 points, Zozo came to me and came to Stefan because Skark was already smashing Dark Eldar, so there was nothing there to tell. But he said, guys, we are losing right now, so you need to play more aggressively.
Oh my god, I would love to see Stefan's face after this.
He was like, okay, can I redo my movement face? Because I need to play all out.
Just all in? All right.
Yep. So he just moved all of his boats into his opponent's territory and counted to just roll well and roll well. I was doing the same actually because I was playing.
So you went full Hail Mary.
maybe not Hail Mary, but yes,
Kind of.
kind of.
All in.
But we get nothing to lose, because if we even draw this matchup,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. We'll be at third place.
Yep.
So if we will win it,
Mhm.
so we are first or second, depend on your team score.
Yep.
But if we lose it or draw it, it doesn't really matter. So we just math it out. That is better just to play aggressively and count it to go well. And I was playing, Demon Mirror,
Alright.
and the good thing for me is that my opponent doesn't have the Lord of Change. He got Bloodthirster instead.
And mortals are really good in the mirror. Like, excellent.
Yes. He misplaced his Be'lakor, so after my movement phase, he was the only thing I could see, because I can just
maneuver
position
yourself
my
around the
models.
ruins.
And when he's not obscured, I just put 18 mortals out of him and then kill him
In a single phase.
in a single turn, because he was then shot by the Herald, by the Flamer.
I see. So basically, he just threw away his Be'lakor for free,
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what. Interesting. I think it is one of the nicest things in like a team tournament environment. The fact that you need to sometimes adjust your plan of your games on
Yeah.
the fly. Yep.
Depends on how the other tables are going, because sometimes you cannot afford a draw.
Yeah. Sometimes you just cannot. You just need to go here and there. Yeah. I know what you mean. So, after the event,
Yep.
and like after summaring your games and having the experience of the event and taking the second place, what would you say the optimal team composition for 5v5 events is right now? And we are talking before the data slate hits,
Yes.
which we are expecting to hit shortly.
Maybe this week.
Maybe this week, maybe next week. But at this exact moment, what would you actually say the best comp is?
I think that there are 3 stable picks, which are Harleys, obviously,
Definitely.
Tau.
Which is interesting, right? Harleys over Craftworld Eldar. Would you ever consider
No.
bringing Craftworld Eldar?
No, basically no, because even in Hail of Doom, I can see much more matchups that could go wrong.
I mean, I think Hail of Doom is just suboptimal for Harleys
For-
right now. Straight
Yeah.
up, I think it is just suboptimal even for Craftworld Eldar builds.
I'm not really that much into Eldars to say what else can be better, but seeing how the Hail play against some armies,
Yep.
like Necrons,
Yeah.
like Harleys.
Yeah, especially Harlequins, right?
Yeah.
Basically, if you have meta so focused around Harlequins as Polish meta is, if you are bringing Craftworld Eldar, you are probably bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Yes.
Although worth mentioning, I think, is the Duda versus Myson matchup, because Duda has brought his Craftworld Eldar, his custom. Was it? Now let me check if I know my custom Craftworlds. Was it Vengeful and Masterful Shots? It will be exploding sixes in combat and ignoring cover, basically.
Yes.
And he had a very MSU heavy, like melee heavy build, which he was claiming plays good against Harlequins, and he has proven that it can work in their game.
Okay. How did it end it?
I think like a 13 or 14 to do that against Myson, who is an excellent Harlequin
yes,
player.
he is a good Harlequin player.
I talked to Myson after the game. He claims that he played like complete ass in that game, which was the biggest mistake of his, like not on the level of list or anything, but actually straight up outplayed him, and he played like garbage. But I still think if you played Hail like an absolute master and champion and the best player in the world, you would still not manage.
You will lose to Harleys.
Exactly. There's basically no way of winning that matchup for Craftworld Eldar.
And you struggle against Tau.
Exactly.
So we got like 3 bad matchup just out of your pocket.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But it
With
is,
hail.
I think it is interesting to see that some people are are coming up with Craftworld Elder builds that can actually play against Harleys, and again, I see a possibility of just flipping the matchup there. I think many people in Poland are unexperienced against Craftworld Elder, and I think it is something to consider.
Yeah, because most of the players that played Craftworld just switched to Harleys.
Exactly, right? So I think as well, like Harleys are the default choice, like a super safe pick.
Yep.
But I would still, if I had a faction specialist, I would still maybe consider them.
You know, that's a player dependent. But when you're looking just at the armies, just at the codices, I would say 3 stable picks are Harleys, Tau, Necrons,
Easy.
and for me, Demons.
Oh, really?
Right now.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
Because
that's a bold claim.
yeah, because you need a good attacker against Harleys and against Tau.
In our meta, definitely.
Yes.
That's very useful.
So those are 2 matchups that are very good against Tau and drawish.
Okay.
So drawish against Harlequins isn't a bad thing because then the Harleys aren't playing your Tau.
Yeah, basically you can deny them a good matchup.
Yeah.
Right?
And the fifth one. So I'll take Demons. The 5th one.
Is it the Sisters?
Or the Tyranids.
Or is it the Tyranids?
Yes. I would say that's...
That is a very interesting question. I can answer that. I think I'm bringing the heavily tweaked mortal wound spam that similar to what Germans brought to WTC.
If I will have to take Tyranids, it would be that list. So 3 narrow throats.
I think that list
units.
especially is good against so many things, and especially just destroyed Harlequins.
Yep.
So if you need that linchpin to catch those pesky elves, I think that specific list.
Yeah, that list is.
One of the teams brought that list. I think it was the team that took 5th place. We placed against them.
The 5th place was.
Fukushim, definitely.
Yeah,
if
Fukushim.
you look for Fukushim on the Tourney Keeper, he took that list. They kind of mismanaged it in pairings against us. I think they were expecting that list to do very good against Necrons. We knew from WTC that is not the case. I think Ghetto smashed that exact German list like 17-3 or something. So we had the information advantage over them, but in the sense of that like the whole list working very well in pairings, you need to pair it well, but I think it is excellent.
And it is excellent against Demons.
Exactly.
Jesus, it's terrible matchup. One of the worst I can think of.
It is just such a huge mortal output, like mortal wounds output, that I would consider it to be my 5th pick.
Yep.
I'm thinking if I would bring Demons, if I have the confidence in them. I don't think I do right now. I would need to see them more on the tables. I'm just admitting I'm not experienced enough against them. I've played against you one time. I've seen them on the table a couple of times, but nothing like super solid, right?
I think that they are fitting in the 5v5 meta in the place when you can just give them like 2 or 3 good or drawish matchups.
I see.
So that's why I'm considering Demons, because I don't think that Demons will be winning any singles anytime soon, because the codex is just meh, and you can just roll.
Yeah, if you come up against those bad matchups, these are really bad matchups.
Yeah,
I think against the focused melee list, it just crumbles.
Yeah,
it just completely melts.
Or just OPSEC heavy combat list, like
for example,
even Blood Angels will just smash Demon.
Exactly, it is a primary concern.
Yeah. So, but in 5v5 environment, when you are taking like 5 top codices, and we have such a big gap between the let's say, S tier and A tier.
Do you think that's the case in team matchup, in team environment?
In 8v8, no. But in 5v5, you will always take the best codices you got.
Yeah, but we have established like the 3 that are quite certain for us.
Yes. And
in some form.
And then you're just looking for a counter to those lists.
But because you are looking for the counter to your specific, like to what you are expecting people will bring, I think then it's hard to define the like an S tier army.
Yeah, the S tier. Okay, so why are you picking the stable 3 codices like Harleys, Tau, and Krons?
Because they're like they are superb, right?
Yeah,
I would define that as S tier. But what you said is the gap between those and everybody else is huge.
Yeah, if you are looking from the singles perspective.
Yeah, then yes.
That's my that was my thinking, right? The gap is really big.
Yep.
So you cannot take like 5 S tier codices.
Yeah.
So then you are looking anywhere else. It could be Salamanders, which in singles would be like
they are garbage in singles.
Yes.
Holy I had such a bad time playing them in singles in our last RTT, which we placed against each other actually in Krakow. They are just they're an interesting army because they are fun to play, but so unrewarding in the scoring. Like you are pulling good results against like a draw against Harleys or a draw against demons playing defensively and stuff, and you finish middle of the pack with nothing to show for you, even though you tried really hard and really well.
But sometimes those
are the lists that you're looking for.
Defender lists that you're looking in teams. So that's why there's let's say an S tier.
Yep.
And there is the rest tier, the R tier.
The R tier, yeah. But I think what is interesting, I think it is actually quite hard to define the best pack. I think definitely something that like Team Uncles brought, Team Poznan brought took 3rd place could be very close to the super optimal team composition. But at the same time, like we didn't have sisters or Tenerianids or demons.
And you had knights.
And we took the 1st place. So, I mean, it is clear for me that each single like top 3 team, took different armies. Like there were like
2 of the same
Tau and Harleys.
Tau and Harleys
are the only like 2 that repeated across all 3. But other than that, actually not a single army that
I will put Necrons and Sisters in the same spot actually, because I will just treat them as a stable defender.
I have not defended with my Necrons a single time. I think they are an excellent attacker right now. Now that's a hot take, but I would treat them completely differently in the pairings. I would never treat them as a stable defender. I think Sisters definitely more so. I think Necrons have such a good pairings on some of them that you can expect them to be a very reliable attacker into many armies.
I agree, but if you need a stable defender,
they
are Necrons.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why I'm putting them on the same page, because you can use them in the pairings like they are the same army, right?
Yep.
But Necrons have the edge of getting better. So some better matchups than Sisters.
For example, Sisters.
For example, Tau.
So I think what we've established is that the team meta is quite.
It's really different.
It's diverse almost.
Almost diverse.
You could call a meta diverse with being honest,
but not balanced.
It was not.
The
meta cannot be balanced. That was just nonsense. Yeah. I think that would be everything. Would you have something to add to this episode?
No, I would just like to thank Victor for organizing the DMP, because it was a stunning event. And
that was some great organization. The venue was excellent. Like the whole thing was a great event of excellent quality, and we are very grateful as us, as our teams, and as I think we can thank for the whole community.
For the whole community, I think.
For running the event, because it was just so good. And hopefully he continues to do these great events. Other than that, I would like to thank my team and everybody involved in making the first place finish possible. I'm super proud of bringing a squad just from made from our local players that I play in every local event against them and stuff like this, and being able to take the first place in the Polish Team Championship with them.
Let's see if you can repeat that next year.
I mean, we took second last year, we took first now. Now we are defenders. We'll just coast and defend the throne instead of attack it. That's gonna be way interesting to see. Yep. So plugs, stuff like this. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify and other media platforms that we are on. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, tell us what would you like to see from this actual show, and what we can discuss to make you more interested and more engaged and want to listen to us more. From the things that we have coming up, we'll definitely be reviewing infamous Wotan Codex, the banned in Germany, never before seen, incredible, broken. How are we going to survive Wotan Codex? League of Wotan Codex. So the squads are upon us, and
the answer is with the WTC tables. But
oh shit! It's already started. All right.
But remember, even then they are banned. You cannot play with Wotan. Don't count on it. You'll never see them on any tables unless you are playing with your friend
in your basement.
In your basement.
Or a garage.
Nowhere else.
Other than that, they are banned. But
unless GDAP will just do something about them. Okay, enough.
Enough. To be perfectly reasonable for a second, I have an excellent guest, which will be Danny Portin coming up. He has played 40 games with them already. I have some games under my belt as well, so we'll be discussing Wotan in from the purely team perspective review. I want this to be focused on just how they will perform in team environment,
and we don't want to waste your time on
explaining a single
every single stratagem and every single data sheet in Codex. So we'll just focus on the actual stuff.
Yeah, So that's the plan. Other than that,
I will be hosting our guest from Austria, Stefan Pazdarka, and he will be sharing his thoughts about the Polish Team Championship.
So we will have the actual foreigner talking about our actual tournament.
Yes,
incredible
for the first time
ever.
But maybe not the last one.
We had many international guests, I think, in the last years. Hopefully it returns.
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you very much for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed. Remember comment, and subscribe. I always wanted to say that.
Yes. Remember to check out our sponsors. The links are down below.
Check out our sponsors on Hegeman Shop and War Tiles.
And you can check all of the Polish Team Championship list in the Tourney Keeper.
Yep. So thank you very much again for listening. I was Pumba.
And I was Arek.
And we'll see you in the next
next time. See you.
Goodbye.